Hey yo, and welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be looking at a chess game that I played an hour ago against someone a decent bit stronger than me, where I had to defend my position and it didn't really work out. So let's get into it. My opponent starts off the game with d4 and I decide to go knight f6, looking to get into a Nimzo Indian after c4, e6, knight c3, and bishop to b5. Lines that I know decently well and that I've had a lot of fun with in the past. So I'm looking to get into that, and my opponent decides to oblige and allows me to get into exactly what I want, an Nimzo Indian. So already in the opening, I'm feeling pretty happy here because I never get to play these lines since nobody enjoys playing into them. And here I just realize that after e3, I kind of don't remember my theory too well, and it's already not as good as I want it to be because I haven't looked at this specific line in a little bit, in a decent bit. So what I remembered here is castles, bishop d3, and I remembered here, okay, well, it's all about logic, right? So if my opponent was to play knight here, then I would play d5 because you'd be defending this pawn. And with the bishop here, now I can play the move c5 because there isn't that extra defense on the pawn, right? And I was like, you know what? That makes sense. That's probably correct. But I'm already kind of out of theory, even though this is only move 5 and it's already not looking too good. My opponent goes knight f3. I go knight c6. All pretty normal stuff. dc5 it doesn't really work due to even a move like bishop takes c3, bc3, and you see here these tripled isolated pawns. Never really a good thing for white or for any side for that matter, even though white has the bishop pair. Instead of doing that, my opponent decides to castle. And here I kind of panic and forget what I'm supposed to do, because in this line, I'm looking back at it now, in this line, I'm supposed to play the move d5. And there's a decent amount of like pressure in the center, and it gets into some really interesting, highly like theoretical stuff, where a lot of the time my opponents don't really know what they're doing. But instead here I thought it was a different line, and I played the move c takes d4 with the idea that after my opponent goes e takes d4 to play the move d5, which is just a different way of playing. But this is not correct. This is not. You're supposed to do this in a couple of other lines. Sometimes the lines in these variations look very similar to each other, and this is one of those cases. But I have to realize the little details, and if I had, probably this game would have gone a lot differently. But here my opponent goes rook e1, and actually black is back in the game. I thought here my opponent could go with the move c5. Just a little bit, and a lot of the times in these positions, the dark square bishop is gonna like come back to e7 or play b6. b6 is a main idea here. b6 is a top engine move actually. Many of these lines, b6 is a good move, and after like bishop b5, I'm already in a decent bit of trouble here, and my bishop is like about to get trapped after something like this, and a3 like if my opponent, for example, after bishop b7, sorry, not bishop b2, knight e2, one of the threats in this position is to play the move a3, which is a big issue because if I were to do nothing, a3 here, and I thought, this doesn't look very good for me. Obviously here, my bishop would be trapped, and I would be losing. But I was already, so as you can see, I was already like pretty pessimistic about my position, and I had to like think on my heels. But luckily, my opponent plays rook e1 and lets me off the hook. I think for a little bit, but I play the best move. I play d takes c4, and I think we've actually transposed into a line that I know, because d takes c4, bishop takes c4, this is a pretty standard position in a lot of Nimzos, and I was trying to think of a way to get this going. There are lots of common ideas here. One is bringing the bishop back, one is playing b6, trying to play bishop b7, or even bishop a6 in some lines, and one of them is play a6, b5. Another move that always makes sense is the move h6 and knight d5, so there's a lot of things for me to think about here. But I ended up going with the style that I kind of knew the best, which was this move a6. And the point is to play b5 with tempo, so then we can play bishop b7 on the next move, which makes sense, right? But this is also wrong. This is also wrong. I should be playing a little bit more preventatively. So I should be playing the move h6 here. So then I stop any pins going to this square, and life would be good. But instead a6, bishop to g5. And I think for a little bit, but I already kind of know my move. It's b5. If you're going to allow me to play this move with tempo, I'm going to play it. b5, bishop g3. And I just played the move h6, bishop h4, and I thought here for a little bit. Of course, there's a couple things I can do. I can play bishop to b7. Sorry, by the way, about my computer. That's actually just like humming very, very loudly. It's really irritating to me as well, if you can hear it. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but I will try to edit it out in post. I'm not sure if I'll be able to. Either way, bishop h4, and this idea of bishop b7 looks kind of interesting to me. I can also play bishop e7, just like play this a little more positionally. But I thought like if I played bishop b7, there might be like d5. And I was a little bit worried here because like ed5, I mean, my opponent gets his rook active. He plays move a3, for example. I have to take. And to me, I thought that my opponent has full compensation for the pawn. But looking at it now, I might have gone in this position because there's some interesting moves like queen d6 here, like bishop g3 and queen c5, and we already start putting pressure. And we got d4 on the way. So I don't know, maybe this would be a better way to play instead of what I did. But instead I calculated something pretty quickly. And I instead played this move g5, which is not a good move, which is just not what I'm supposed to do. And the idea of g5 is pretty simple. Basically, I'm just saying, okay, well, I don't think you have enough for sacrifice on g5. Like, okay, it makes a little bit of sense, takes, but I mean, I got bishop e7. You can't bring the queen here. I'm gonna play king g7, rook h8 next, and I feel like the open files are good for me. I'm wrong. This is absolutely the best move. I probably should have been a little more careful. Here, and I mean, I was gonna play bishop e7. Okay, maybe not. Maybe king g7. Okay, maybe not. Yeah, this was stupid. I guess this wasn't what I was supposed to do. Oh, I guess if I play bishop e7, the idea is like, I mean, even rook e3 and you come over. Yeah, that's kind of rough. Instead, my opponent kind of believed me and played the move bishop to g3, which makes a little bit of sense. And I thought here for a little bit, but I already kind of knew what I was going to play. I put my knight in the center on d5. Said, okay, if you take, you drop the rook, so you can't really do that. So I was just like, oh, okay, that seems pretty reasonable. My knight is pretty good here. But then he goes and takes the knight. And I realized here, oh, that's not good at all. That doesn't look good at all. Because after bishop takes e1, which I thought for 30 seconds on, my opponent doesn't play this move. Come on, don't blunder your knight. Actually, here I would even have this move first, but don't hang your knight with that move. That was like the first move that I was considering. But my opponent has the interesting move knight to c7, and he's arguing here that after I move my rook, he's gonna take the bishop. His knight's no longer gonna be hanging, and he's going to be up material. For some reason in this position, I didn't desperado my bishop, which was really stupid. I think I might have thought that the knight wasn't trapped, but the knight is pretty clearly trapped. Stumbling over my words. Knight's pretty clear. Oh my god, knight is pretty clearly trapped in the position. So I should have played bishop f2 check, and after king takes f2, I can play rook a7, and the knight is trapped. And I'm going to be getting the two pieces back, and at the end of the day, I mean, black is going to be up a pawn, but I don't know, there's going to be pressure on the c-file stuff. The knight's going to be able to come in here. It's going to be a tough position to play, but it'll be fine. Instead of that, I just played rook a7 immediately, which is a really stupid move. It's really stupid. I just, for some reason, didn't play the desperado. Maybe it's because I'm tired. I don't know. But I had a little bit of a headache during this game, so maybe that's an excuse I can use. But instead of that, my opponent takes on e1. I take here, takes, and we get into a position where each of us has the same amount of material, but white is better. Now, why is white better? White is better because my opponent has the c-file and can immediately put pressure on my queen. That's why white is better. And in fact, they have to do that. If they don't do that, then it's going to be an equal position. Luckily for me, my opponent doesn't do that and gives me a chance with queen to e4. Simply threatening like a checkmate here. Come on, we know what we're doing. We're not going to be blundering any checkmates anytime soon. We simply play the move f5, stopping the queen and bishop combo. This pawn is defended by this, and now life is good. In fact, I thought black was even better here during the game because white has this weak pawn on d4, and I'm able to immediately target it quickly, but I'm not exactly correct. My opponent has a lot of counterplay that I wasn't really used to. I guess I didn't really understand that he had this counterplay, and actually my king is super weak, so I have to play something quickly. I play queen d6 pretty quickly, just putting pressure. I thought this move made the most sense. I actually have to play queen f4 here to be even, and like after takes, the g file opens up, which is pretty decent for me. I can put my bishop here. And in all honesty, I think black is pushing this position. Instead of that, my opponent, I go queen d6, which made more sense to me, just putting pressure on this pawn, getting out of any rook c1s. Obviously, we can't do that because we would probably lose. And I just thought, okay, I'm probably like equal, or maybe black is better. I don't know. But then my opponent finds some really useful resources. He goes a4, which is really, really strong. And in fact, I don't have a good move here. The only move for black is to play rook d8, which is a little bit tough, just to give up the whole queen side for this pawn. But I don't know. This looked pretty dry to me. It felt like only white was playing here because white has the passer. But actually, it's a little bit harder to do than that. Like queen c1 comes here, maybe bishop e7, and I mean it's still a game. It's still a game. It's a little bit complicated, but it's still a game. I didn't really think of that very much. Like even after rook d8, I mean probably my opponent can probably go like, I don't know, even rook d1 here, and it's a little bit tough for black to play. Instead of that, I played b4 pretty quickly. My idea of this was, okay, well, now this pawn is a little bit weak. I don't know, maybe the rook is off kilter. My pawn is defended by my bishop, and life is good. But I'm losing pretty easily, actually. I'm losing after rook d1. And yeah, this move is coming. d5 is on the way, and I'm much worse here. I'm much worse. I don't think that the plus 0.7 really does it justice. It's probably more like plus 1.5 or something. This is a really bad position for black, and yeah, it's real tough. But my opponent doesn't play that. So I play bishop c4, which is a mistake. But I make a counter mistake, and it quickly goes off the rails. I should have played rook d8. Instead, I go king f7. Targeting, trying to put more pressure on the pawn and trying to maybe bring the king up to g6. But I should have gone king g7 or rook d8 or g4 even. Like there's a million things that I could have done besides this, but whatever, king f7, and my opponent immediately finds the best move, which is h4. And I'm just losing. It's really tough. If I take this, he gets in here, so I'm forced to play the move g4. But then this pawn is super weak, and the queen is getting in, and it's really bad. The law of like two weaknesses here is very strong. My opponent gives me a check on e5. I'm in time with counterplay with queen c6, but this is wrong again. I have to go queen d8 for some reason. I don't even know. The best move for white is bishop a6. Okay, guys, come on. We had a little nice move after the bishop takes. There's a fork of the king and the other bishop. Didn't see that either, but whatever. I thought queen c6 kind of did the job because I'm attacking the bishop and I'm not allowing queen h6. However, queen h6 is still the move because my opponent gets a rook c1 with the queen defending from the other side of the board, and he picks up the bishop. Well, no, he doesn't pick up the bishop. What if I play queen d3? queen h7, and yeah, and I get mated. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna lose my queen. Yep. Okay, that's not good. Instead, my opponent goes bishop f1, and the balance is kind of restored, but rook c1 is on the way, and I am just going to lose this game. I go king g6, trying to defend my pawn, trying to get my king out of the way. Maybe I have like some way to play f5 in the future. F4, sorry, in the future, and I can try to survive that way, but it's already rough. A5 is a mistake. It's a little bit slow, but he keeps everything together. I played bishop b7, trying to make sure that this bishop is stuck to the defensive mate. But of course, my opponent goes rook c1, and actually, this position is really, really rough. In fact, I don't even know why I didn't play the best move here, because it makes a lot of sense. I probably should have played the queen. Nope. That's the move I did play. Okay, nope, that makes sense why I played that move, because I played it again. No, the move I played here was, the best move here is queen e4. I know why I didn't play this move, because at the very least he just picks up a pawn and has an outside passer. Oh, but I guess there's this. Oh, I didn't even see that. Oh my god. Oh, I didn't even realize that was a thing. And you can't go rook here because my bishop defends. Oh my god, I didn't even. Okay, that would be a nice idea, but instead I played queen d5, which made a lot of sense to me. Targeting this pawn, targeting mate so the bishop can't move. But after queen b6, I'm in a huge amount of trouble. I go rook c8, trying to do something, get my rook into the game. Maybe I could have played f5, f4 or something, but I'm just losing. I'm just losing this position. There's not much that I can do. Instead I go rook c8, bishop c8, and queen takes b4, and I'm simply down a pawn now. And as you can see, I have many weaknesses. I have this weakness, I have this weakness, I have this weakness, and yes, my opponent also has weaknesses. I take on e5, I take one of them, but it's simply not enough. It's simply not enough. These two pawns are going to be decisive, and I'm going to lose this game. Not to mention, I am down 3 minutes on the clock, which is way too much. My opponent goes g3. I think for a little bit, I go queen to c7, trying to like put pressure here, defend my bishop. It seems like an average move, but I really don't know what to play. I'm also trying to stop the infiltration of the queen over on this side of the board, which is terrifying, and it could make me end up in a losing position. Bishop g2, I go queen c1 check, and I go queen c2, targeting the pawn, and this is just way too much. Like, I am spread way too thin here. My opponent should have gone queen f8. In fact, I don't know why they didn't. This move makes a lot of sense to me. It stops this clearly by simply queen c8, and yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. Queen f8 makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know why he didn't play it. Instead, he goes queen b6, another decent move. Trying to play like this move and also defending the pawn, which is a little bit far. Also now I can't play this, but I found an interesting resource. I play f4. I'm still trying stuff. The idea is to play f3 and put the bishop in a cage. Which actually could make me a draw. Like, if my opponent is like a little bit lazy, like for example, I don't even know what could be a random move here. b3 is a random move. Like, I can play f3, for example, and I mean, the position isn't that bad for black. I guess it still is after bishop f1, but bishop h1, now black is actually winning because the bishop is locked out. That would be nice. Instead, gf4, and I quickly go king h5, which was a little bit of a bluff. Like, I'm trying to get this pawn and like try to like get some counterplay going, but I have a minute on the clock, which is 4:43. Not enough time. Bishop c6 is a nice move. I can't take the pawn because I get mated. I thought, yeah, I get mated here, and this move, bishop to e8. My king is actually out of squares, and queen g6 is the only move, and after that I would be losing due to king g3 is the best move here. Wait, why? What about this? Oh, that's just mate in 1. Okay, great. No, this is a very tough position. There's not much for me to do. Instead, I bring my king back to g6. 40 seconds on the clock, not enough time. b4. Start walking my king up. I don't know. I can't really take this because there's a queen fork here, and then no, that doesn't work. Maybe there wasn't a queen fork and I was just terrified out of my wits. But whatever. The game is lost anyway. You kind of know what's going to happen. Bishop d7, bishop queen e5, and then he just picks up a fork, wins my bishop. I take on f2. But here, I'm just getting mated. I lose my queen. I didn't even see that the queen was hanging because I was playing too fast. And yeah, I just get mated here, which is not the best option, but it kind of shows why you shouldn't spread yourself this thin with, like from this position where you've got these two weaknesses and this weakness. And it's just every piece has to have a part to play in defending the position. But at the end of the day, there is no defense of the position. Either way, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found this entertaining, instructive, all of the above. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, do all the normal things YouTubers tell you to do. And yeah, that's it. Good evening and good night.